So Dave Carvajal is a repeat offender here at Passage to Profit. It's the second time he's been with us. And he's the builder of billion-dollar businesses, and his specialties include executive search and leadership development for some of the top tech sector companies. But not only that, Dave is also the author of the book, Hire Smart from the Start. And I've ordered the book because we're doing a lot of hiring right now, but maybe you can give us a little teaser of what the book's about.
And refresh us on that one page you told us about last time that everybody has to do in the book.
Yeah, page 97. So look, fundamentally, my thesis is that there is an A+ player for every role in every company, and every CEO should know this, right? Like, no company ever got great because they were amazing at payroll or benefits administration. The most strategic parts of HR are recruiting and culture, right? And so a lot about, what I talk about in the book is, really the thing that every CEO entrepreneur wants out of their company, out of their business, is high performance. Well, high performance requires high performance leadership. And what that looks like and what that means is for the CEO founder, the entrepreneur, to create alignment around the three most important things in business. And those are: one, a common purpose; two, shared values; and three, clear objectives. And there's no better time to do that than right from the beginning. Right. And so that's why we named my book Hire Smart from the Start. I think, it's an incredible time to really lay the foundation, and I really like some of the things that Christian mentioned before and is going to talk about, because, building a company really is like the architecture, right? You have to design it in advance, right? The mistake that most people make when hiring or recruiting is that, if they need an accountant, they'll just start interviewing accountants and hire the best one. Well, the problem with that is that you may hire the best one and still only get 40 or 50% of what you're looking for, right? The name of the game is to define in advance exactly who you're looking for. And the way you do that is on a one-pager, a blueprint, and that's page 97 of my book. It's not only knowing what to do, but knowing how to do it. Right. And I think, that's the name of the game, is really taking a strategic approach to organizational design.
Well, I have to, if I can just comment on that a little bit. We've been going through the hiring process lately. And for the first time, we've actually incorporated a COO and an HR person in the hiring process. And I was just shocked at how differently they viewed the candidates and what perspectives that they brought to the hiring process. As an attorney, I would have never asked a lot of the questions that they asked. And it really kind of opened my eyes to, what it takes to hire well. And I think having those, different perspectives makes a huge difference. Things as an attorney, I would have never thought about.
And I have to say too, that Richard did look at your book and read your book. And when he hired the COO that he has right now, this was one of the best hires that we've made in years, because this guy is just cleaning up problems left and right. I mean, he's amazing.
Right. But it's how do you even know what roles you should have in your organization? And if you're an entrepreneur starting out, maybe you're a solopreneur. And so how do you determine what is the first hire, and what is the second hire, and what is the third hire? How do you make those decisions?
Yeah, great. Okay, so two things. First, a camel is a horse designed by committee.
Love that.
Right. So the problem with just jumping in and starting to interview accountants because you need an accountant is exactly, what you were able to avoid, Richard, which is, everybody's got their own idea of the accountant that we should hire. Right. But unless you take the time and the energy and the effort in advance to sit down and talk about exactly who we're looking for, right? Only then are you going to make the best hire, the right fit hire for your company, right? And on that page 97, I think it's really important to get absolute clarity around your core values, your culture, your mission, first and foremost, right? Then you get clarity around the role, and then you get clarity around the candidate, right? And so that's why it's important to lay out all those things on a one pager and make sure that the interview committee, the 4 people involved in, interviewing and hiring this person, that we're on the same page with what we're looking for, right? That we are in fact looking for a camel or a thoroughbred stallion, right? Whatever it is, just let's make sure we have an agreement on that.
One of the things I learned was asking the right questions and getting down into the detail, because a candidate may say, for example, yeah, I've done accounts receivable. And then you ask them, well, what kind of accounts receivable have you done? Well, I downloaded the reports and I sent them over here. So that's accounts receivable. And that's not the kind of accounts receivable I need. I need somebody who's going to call clients and form a relationship and reach out to them to find out if, to collect the money.
We've talked to people that don't even know how to download reports.
And so, you can't take it at face value. What they think accounts receivable is what you need, right? So it's asking the right questions to really understand what their experience is.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. To your other point, Richard, about, how do you figure out this notion of organizational design and who you need to hire first, second, or third? I think that, and one of the things I talk about in my book is this concept of organizational self-determination, right? It's really the basis of organizational design, which is one of the exercises that I have my CEO clients do is project out 10 years. What is it that you want to be true about your business, about your company 10 years from now? If everything goes great, if everything is successful, what is that vision? I think everything begins with a vision, right? And then you create that purpose and you align and use that purpose as the basis for all your recruiting, your promotions, and your terminations of employees, right? Is people that are going to help you achieve that mission. They're not only going to be successful in their job, but they're going to be capable of helping us achieve our great mission.
Well, that's a fantastic point. And looking into the future and building toward that, start with the end in mind, is a great way to go about doing things. And it's funny, I've been in the business world now for over 30 years. And some people have been talking about those kinds of things, but I also can say I worked for organizations where none of that was clear, and the organizations were unclear and they were confused. And now it seems that people are really taking that message seriously and constructing companies around those principles, and they're much more effective. And I think that's part of the growth that comes from, or why you see so many companies growing so quickly now. It's the productivity tools, but it's also better organization and better management than, a lot of companies that existed in the past.
You coach executives as well as you help executives find positions in new companies. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's slightly different. So one, yes, I generally get brought in by the chairman of the board, somebody at the board level who writes a big check. Usually it's 20, 40, $50 million into a high growth company. And they ask me to build out the executive board and leadership teams of these companies the right way, right? These are folks that don't have time to lose. They've got such an enormous market opportunity in front of them, and they cannot afford to make a bad hire. A bad hire will trip them up or delay their go-to-market strategy or their ability to grab market share. And so, the stakes are incredibly high. They can't afford to get it wrong. And so they generally call us to come in like a strike force, like a Navy SEALs team, and just get it done for them, right? Sometimes it's 1, 2, 3 executives. Sometimes it's 3 executives and a team of 10, product and enterprise salespeople, for example. And so that's one thing we do. And then the second thing I do is I have a program, a coaching program, because no CEO founder has ever been classically trained on how to do this thing, recruiting and culture building and really company building, right? It's not even taught at the top MBA programs, right? Yet it's like the most critical, most important aspect of building a business is getting the right people onto your team. And they're out there, right? Like the awesome and amazing people that every CEO needs for their company, they're out there, right? They're just not sitting on a couch eating potato chips, looking at job postings on the internet. They are, at a minimum, they are actively engaged in something that they find, even mildly interesting. And somebody's got to go in, extract them, get their attention, engage them in a conversation, right? Just so that we can put them through an evaluation process. And that's got to be done many times over. Mm-hmm. And so that's why they kind of hire our expertise to go in and help them do that, to build out their executive leadership teams, their boards, with people that have the proven experience that can 10x their company, usually get them from about 20 million in revenues or 20 million in funding to about 200, 300 million in revenues.
Wow.
So how do you weed out those people that can't do it? Because Richard's had his law firm for 15 years. I've been involved the whole time. And we've had people out and out lie to us about what they can do. And we've given them little tests. We've done this, that, the other thing, but we don't really know how to weed out those people that really can't do the job, but are pretending they can.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, it's a great question. And look, I will say, Elizabeth, you're not alone, right? This is the challenge. It's hard. People are actively incentivized to deceive you. Mm-hmm. Right? Because like money is on the line, their security, their certainty, their careers are on the line, right? And so there is an active incentive for people to deceive you. And so, a lot about what I talk in my book here is exactly that. It's about learning to have a recruitment, a hiring conversation, about learning how to have the dialogue to be able to vet against the things that we have defined on our one pager, on our blueprint, right? It's something we call a core fit selection blueprint. You want to make sure that the people you hire are aligned with your core purpose, your core values, right? And the core competencies to not only be successful in the role, but really to help you achieve your mission, who are going to be able to execute with the right values, right? Who are not going to piss off other employees, who are not going to go against the both the written and unwritten rules about how we operate and how we treat each other, right? And who are going to be able to, not just play the game, help us win, but do so in a way that, increases our culture.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So if I could ask a question, if you're an entrepreneur, solo entrepreneur, small company, and you want to apply this approach, but you really can't afford, a consulting firm to help you with this, how can you do this? And if, one of the challenges solopreneurs have is finding people to help them, but it's a small company, right? And so you may not have a reputation. You may not have, $30 million of investment funding. How do you get people to participate when you don't have a lot of, traction yet?
Yeah, I love it. Look, and I will say that that's the reason I wrote the book, right? 206 pages here. It's exactly for those people. Right. And I would say, first and foremost, the process is the same, right? Project out 10 years to create your vision, create your purpose, and then reverse engineer, right? And I go through a whole process in my book on exactly how to do that and the steps to take in between, but it involves looking out 10 years, then a shorter period, like 3 years, right? And then 1 year. And you want to get clear on what your strategic objectives are for the next 12 months. What are the top 3 or 4 things that are going to help drive my business successfully, right? Only by getting clear on those strategic priorities, strategic objectives, can we then get clear on the success factors that this person that we're going to hire, whether it's employee number 2 or a partner or a co-founder, right? Only then can we get clear on what will they help to accomplish, what will they get to achieve that is going to move us closer to those strategic priorities, right? By getting clear on those 2 things, the strategic priorities, the success factors, can we then get clear on the third thing, which is then what are the core competencies necessary for them to be successful in the role that they're going to play, whether it's a chief technology officer or a chief marketing officer, right? But then also, because we've done the top part about the core values of the culture, the mission, this person will not only be successful in their role, but they'll help us to achieve our mission.
Kenya, do you have a question?
I do. I have a question / comment. Everything that you're talking about for me describes what Tom Brady was able to do recently, right? So he was with the Patriots for a long time, went to a whole new team. Culture was different there. You know, he was able to shift the paradigm and, you know, led these guys to the Super Bowl. So my question for you is, if you're a high performance leader, can you transform low performance employees?
Wow.
Good one.
That's a great question. That is fantastic. And I will tell you, there is no shortage of people and leaders who try to do that. I would say this, and I talk about this in my book, there are A players, B players, and C players. A players are defined by 2 things. One, they execute consistent with your core values. And secondly, they're able to, what I call GSD, get stuff done, right? They're able to actually execute at a high level, right? And A players are the absolute best. C players are the best also because they're terrible. They either don't have your core values or they can't get stuff done. And they're fantastic because you can identify that quickly and you never have to talk to them ever again, right? So get them out of your organization. But the people that you will spend the most time, the people that will suck you down and they will strip you of your energy, your mojo, like you'll spend the most amount of time trying to fix them, are your B players. And there are 2 kinds of B players. There are B positive and B negative. B positive are the people that live your core values, but they might be falling short on the technical hard skills. They might be falling a little bit short on their ability to execute, right? Your B minus people are actually people who are able to execute, right? They might be really smart or really capable technically, but they're not living up to the core values, right? The first question is, number 1, can you afford to invest the time, energy, and effort involved to get them to become an A player? Like, do you even have the time, energy, and effort? A lot of situations where, you know, that I'm in, they don't have time to train people, right? Like they've got to hire people that are capable and, you know, hitting the ground running and are going to do it living up to the core values. So my argument is, first, decide whether you have the time, energy, and effort to do it. If you don't, then you don't have any business being involved with B players. You need to go out and hire A players. Look, there's only 3 things you can do with employees, right? You can tolerate them, you can train them, or you can terminate them. Right. And so I would say that if you do have the time, energy, and effort, the B players that you want on your team are the ones that have the core values, and then you can give them the technical training. Technical skills are much easier to teach than core values. Right? People either have or they don't your core values, but it doesn't work the other way around. The people who have, you know, like some companies I work with have a strict no jerks policy, and it's because they've you know, spent too much time, energy, and effort where they've hired people who are incredibly bright or, you know, have incredible technical skills, but you know, they're really hard to be around, right? They piss off other employees or they piss off clients, or they just don't play by the values, in the organization. And those generally are the people that will take you down. Everything bad that happens at a company is fundamentally a people problem, right? It's the thing that took down Enron. It took down, Lloyd's Bank, which financed the Louisiana Purchase, right? Like, over 120 years old bank in England. Everything bad is typically, someone that is not living up to the core values.
I agree 100% with that. There has been one issue we've kind of faced. For some people, it seems like it's really hard to get them to learn basic tech skills, like how to use new software. Do you run into that? I mean, what do you do with somebody that just can't figure that out?
Sounds like a C player to me.
Yeah.
I mean, they're really aligned with you, but if you tell them, come on Zoom at 10 o'clock, they can't ever get their Zoom to work, or, just simple things like that the rest of us take for granted.
Sure. Look, I think there's always two things. People who are not effective in the job, it's either because they can't or they won't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can't is a little bit easier to fix. So first you've got to figure out, is it a can't problem or is it a won't problem? If it's a won't problem, which, being on time for the thing is typically a won't problem.
Right.
Then it's a question of tolerate or terminate.
Dave, this was great. Like really getting to the heart of what makes a business function well and how to build $1 billion business. You really do have all the knowledge. So,
and I enjoy his passion, and he's a very
emphatic.
That was the word I was looking for. He's very emphatic.
Like I said, I talk more.
You're better at it for sure. Very emphatic about it, and it really makes the message very powerful.
But
so
in your 15 years of experience, he's exactly right. You're listening to Passage to Profit, The Inventor Show with Richard and Elizabeth Gearhart. Our special guest, Dave Carvajal, with his book, Hire Smart from the Start. And we will be right back after these messages.